Good morning. Welcome to July 11th Roundtable. I'm a little devastated because I just found out that 7-Eleven isn't happening today. I can't go get a free Slurpee, which is a Canadian tradition on 7-Eleven. But I'll work through it. I'll work through it live on camera and be okay. My kid might not be.
Surely the worst thing to happen this year, though. I mean,
I know. We're gonna cancel everything else. Free Slurpee days canceled. All right. So who would like to start as to what they've been up to with their project, what they would need from this session? Leo's not here, so one of us might be able to take the hot seat. I don't know. See.
I've got Leo sent me some stuff because I think he's having issues with the sound because he said his iPhone wasn't accepting StreamYard wasn't letting him. So I don't know whether any of you have got iPhones. Maybe, I don't know. Have you? No. It's not letting them into StreamYard, but he sent me stuff. So do you want me to read through what he sent, or do you want me to leave that till after you have spoken?
I mean, it's hard for him to be in the hot seat if he's not here.
I know, but
like a roundtable update, then that makes sense. But otherwise, I would imagine that him not being here is not going to be very helpful, even if he watches it after. But I'm totally down with doing a project raising on his cooperative idea at some point in time.
Right. So do you think maybe we could get him to do it on the Zoom then? That'd be better for him if it's not accepting on his iPhone.
Yeah. I mean, not today right now. But
yeah. Right. Okay.
Got muted, Bentley.
We'd probably want to have him check it first before we make a schedule meeting. Because Zoom and StreamYard use similar tech. So if it's not working for StreamYard, it probably wouldn't work for Zoom. Mm-hmm. But we should probably do our introductions and then we can discuss Leo's situation. My microphone is disconnecting, so if I'm having trouble, then I'll just drop off. Maybe I should start. I actually don't have much to share. I didn't work on Reason Score that much. Oh, I guess I was working on a blog post on goaliebot.com explaining what type of questions. Goaliebot's really good at helping people work through. And I don't know if I explained it before, but Goaliebot's kind of the personification of the Reason Score process. So he's an impartial third party that people can communicate with, and then it'll, in doing that, you would organize the data in a way that helps people find agreement and learn each other's perspective at a deeper level. So I'm working on that website, and then I got I learned about several side projects that I want to do. So, I don't know. One of them's making an app that tells you what times of the day, what hours of the day are best to do outdoor activities like walking or running and stuff. My mom needed that, so I'm making that for her, and that's my obsession at the moment. So that's what I'm working on. As far as things to help with, I guess when I get done with that blog post, maybe I'll share it and see if anyone has any feedback on where it's clear or unclear. And then once again, Jubilee joined me in a kind of a debate framing meeting. So if anyone has any other topics that they're passionate about that tends to go against the grain or is in a contentious issue, I think it'd be fun to have a meeting to discuss how you would phrase that in for Goaliebot, and I would find that helpful in my project. That's it.
I'll go first since I'm muted first. Or go next, not first. I know order of time. I'm my own project, solution raising, and Jubilee starts a lot of fires. So this last week I had a solution raising on history. We came up with a really cool idea for creating a living storytelling for especially to collect the information from elders before they pass. And so I'm busy working, not on that because I don't actually work on the solution raising ideas that are generated, but on doing that for my daughter with her living grandparents. Just trying to figure out what questions I can ask them, 5 or 6 questions in common, and asking all 4 of them. I met with Carrie's friend Yvette, so that was a amazing conversation, and having more, just witnessing the people coming on board to Game B and to my project, and the interweaving of all of our lives is just amazing, and I'm excited by that. And my fire alarm keeps going off randomly, so not excited by that, but that is my update. If Leo's not able to be in the hot seat, I could take it for solution raising if no one else has something else.
All right, I guess I can go next. Wiki election is, I guess, in the functional prototype phase. I've been working with Matoush to sort of, start up with a very simple framework, and then we'll keep adding on features, where the end goal is to get it to something that it's a bit easier to show people the concept, because it's actually doing, maybe 20-25% of what the end product would hopefully do. Right now, it's only storing people, organizations, and then people's roles within those organizations. So the next step is going to be tracking legislation, allowing there to be just some very basic sort of summary of what the legislation is about. I've got, I think, like 5 or 6 topics that we'll be able to track a score for on that legislation. And then also tracking how people voted on the legislation while in a certain role, and with the goal being that their vote would then affect, sort of the same kind of scoring system on that person's record, based on if they voted for or against something. Then it would, flip the score. So if something was, bad for the environment and you voted against it, then that would end up being a positive for the environment on your record. And that'll be sort of the first piece of the prototype that's more than just like records in a table, because it's actually sort of summarizing some underlying records. So that is the next step. And I finally actually got the project officially started with Matoush on Upwork, which have been taking a while to get going, but that is rolling now.
Okay, well, finally got started on the Drupal and the listing site and everything else, so I'm getting up to date with that. And yeah, Yvette has agreed to be the Octopus Jubilee. Also, there's an Unreal Engine conference coming up on the 14th, which is free. So I did a bit of 3D modeling when I was at college last time, although I've not used Unreal Engine, but I'm thinking about maybe building a virtual world as a game out of that. Stories are bubbling up underneath the surface. Went for a coffee with the neighbour today, who turned out to be an economist. So talking about donut economics and how he wants to get hands-on with stuff. So I told him about what we're doing. He's interested in that, so that was good. First time I spoke to one of the neighbours in about 20 odd years since I lived here. So yeah, so maybe coronavirus is a good thing. So that's basically all I've got to that. And I can't think of anything else. Just still trying to have more conversations with people in the group and that. So there's I think it's Peter. He's a finance guy from Australia. So more on the lines of right. What, and I spoke to Kylie as well. So yeah. So I think if we can get a sort of like a round table or something for the Australians in the group, and happy to sort of like come to meetings of that, because I can stay up late till I go back to work anyway. So can't think of anything else just now, apart from I'm still trying to sort of like get more people to have a chat and see what's what, and I don't know what else to do with that, apart from bug them to death.
I have a couple quick things for Jubilee and Adriel, so maybe before we pick a hot seat. So Jubilee, I just thought of when I saw your thing. Have you seen StoryCorps? Stories, CORPS.
No, I don't know.
So they're an organization. I don't know if they're U.S. based or what. But they help people record conversations with their elders. And I think they even have suggested formats and stuff. So that might be something you can check out. And if you can't find it, let me know and I can find a link. They've been featured on several NPR podcasts in the past with their stories that people recorded. And just on a side note, a friend of mine, her mother had a stroke and we weren't sure of whether her speech was going to come back, and that person had been wanting to record down the stories, and I've been wanting to do it with my mom as well, so I do encourage people to do it now. If you have someone like that in your life, that I don't know if I want my dad's stories, but my mom's stories, yeah. And then for Adriel, I was just thinking probably not in this level of the prototype, but we were talking about how the legislation, like if they voted for it, well, sometimes they voted against that legislation because it really didn't do what it said. So, naively, we might be saying, oh, they voted against the environment. Really, that vote against that legislation was for it. That's actually a place where reason score might be able to fit in. So I don't want to overcomplicate your issue, but when you think about it, we would say, oh, this piece of legislation is about the environment, right? But then you can come underneath it and say, oh, it's not very important because it would have been effective, or it was rewritten in committee, or all those other reasons, or he voted against it because of this other one, and then that would roll up to the top score. So whenever you want to have that discussion, I'd enjoy that.
Sure. Yeah, that might be cool. For I right now I just want like bare bones. Like it initially, I'm not even doing versions of legislation. There's just a single table storing like the different records, which means theoretically you could see like the same piece of legislation in there 3 or 4 times. Whereas in the actual version, we'd end up doing different versioning and who wrote it and what changed and stuff like that. But yeah, that could end up being cool to help see if we can figure out that weird, like the minutia of the legislation where it's like, why is it or isn't it maybe fully aligned with that certain category, which is of course how reality actually works. The prototype won't be great for that part of it because you can't always boil down some legislation to just, oh, it's great for this and bad for this. End of story.
Yeah.
One of those I might have just encountered because there's something way worse than the 7-Eleven thing, which was actually a week ago today, on July 4th, there was a group of white people who tried to lynch a black guy. Now that's the story and seems to be what's coming out. But in that story with Al Jazeera, I guess a few years ago, they tried to make lynching a hate crime and it wasn't passed through Congress. And I like, how is lynching not the first hate crime? How is that not the reason the legislation exists? But maybe there were other reasons. Maybe it was of other, but no, I'm not going to give them the benefit of the doubt. And like, how does that go through and not get passed unanimously? That of course, lynching is a hate crime.
I think the later version did.
Okay, well, good.
Yeah, because I remember hearing that certain politician was sort of, on record saying why he didn't support it. And then I remember reading a couple of days later that actually had passed unanimously. So there might have been something in there, sort of like this, where there was some weird language, or it was just he didn't support it because,
Which is then like even on the 100% pro lynching is of course a hate crime side, that I just hear that, and of course any politician who wasn't 100% for it was therefore 100% against it. And it's like, that's clearly not the truth. And then even if they are someone who has whatever, being able to bring wiki election and reason score together in that manner, I think would be beautiful for those things that are definitely more nuanced, even though it doesn't sound like it could possibly be nuanced.
Yeah. Well, and that's like, even with the all the stuff being added for like the PPP loans in the US and that sort of thing, you have people voting against it because it's like the stated purpose is great, but then all the underlying stuff, everyone is sneaking in their pet project and a whole bunch of, pork and all that stuff, where there are groups voting against it because they're like, yeah, this isn't what they're saying it is, which I think is very common in legislation, which is where it gets difficult. But yeah, in my case, out of the scope of this particular sort of phase of the prototype, because that's going very deep in something where right now it's just trying to be a proof of concept. But yeah, it's not quite as easy as the prototype is trying to make it out to be. And I'll let Bentley talk because he keeps trying to unmute himself to.
I just wanted to agree.
Okay.
So that's good. So does anyone want to be in the hot seat? Jubilee's offered up if no one else needs it.
No, but I've just got something to say. I noticed on one of the posts, Harrison Quigley mentioned that we might have some psychotechnology projects going on in the project group. I'm not aware of anybody doing them so far, and I don't know whether you know of anybody doing them, because I think, well, it's
I'm doing them.
Oh, right, okay, right, right.
I mean,
okay.
psychotechnologies is a very like broad category, right? So if it's not sense making, it's basically and sense making is psychotechnology as well, right? So it's like,
Right.
what is the definition of that? There's the like game B somewhat definition of that, but anything that brings people together and helps with interpersonal is
right.
like,
Because I looked at it, because I read that, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know anyone who's doing that, you know what I mean? So I didn't know whether someone's doing them. As I said, I wasn't too sure what they were and that, you know what I mean? So, as I said, because I thought, well, if someone comes and has a look, and they might not notice it straight away, or what have you. So, anyway, so that's all right. Because I've got to be freaked out, because I thought we're going to get all these people coming looking, and they're going to go, what they're talking about.
Yeah, I think kind of all of our projects touch on psychotech, but they also so it depends on the person. There are, I think, certain technology proposals that people have made, and maybe they're wondering whether we're doing anything to facilitate those, which Jubilee's project would probably fit under several of those. Yeah.
I feel like Kira's emotional dojos also, anything done by the Stoa, Rebel Wisdom's doing their stuff, Future Thinkers is doing their stuff, that is all psychotechnology. They're just not under the Game B umbrella because they have their own brand and they have, they have their own following and they have their own, so they're not Rebel Wisdom trying to play Game B. They're just playing Game B and, they're Rebel Wisdom, if that makes sense. Whereas we're kind of under, because we don't have a fan base, because we don't have that, we're kind of under it. Saying we need to make a psychotechnology seems very Game B, but just making it seems even more Game B. It's just play, just do it. Let's where does it go? I'm a little worried about the new people coming into Game B, as I'm always worried about everyone. I'm doing the welcoming post, and it's generally 50 people each time. And even I'd say 3 or 4 months ago, when those posts would happen, everyone would interact with it because you'd be looking for people, right? And the issue is the first generation, or, not Jordan Hall and Jim Rutt and them, but the first generation of people we've all found our people. And I don't know how much more we can be go out, find your people, come join us, do this, without, because I'm not going to, when those posts would first come out, I would look through them for people who I had stuff in common with, talk to them, to interview them, to do that. I know Carrie's kind of taking on that role at the moment, but it used to, I feel be almost everyone who did that, because we were all so hungry for looking for people. And now the people are coming in looking for something to do, not really getting to do, seeing that there are all of these things going on, even if we tell them. And at the same time, it looks like the Game B Facebook is dead. It looks like there's no, people I posted something, no one interacted with it. Right, because that's not what this is. You're not, how to get the next cohort to interconnect with each other, right? Instead of looking for them to need to go, I don't know, but that's maybe just not my fire to start or do anything with, and just let them figure it out.
Do you think it might have to do with the separation of Game B into all the different groups? How old Game B was a little bit noisy, where it because there wasn't a group for projects, people were inevitably posting their projects in the Game B group. And now that becomes a separate group, it is sort of quieter, and it's not, I guess, as clear what should go there, what shouldn't go there. And I guess it's not as a natural of a place for the conversations that might drive that, ooh, that person and I have the same goals, or that person is working on something that I'm interested in. Let's connect.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's also, one, it used to only be 25 people who were admitted each week. Now it's 50 at least. And because there's partly the algorithm, partly just no one seems to be interacting with it besides the people who are just coming in which case they're putting what they is, but no one's reading it. I don't even know if they're reading each other's, right? Which is what when I first, it was oh, look at all these cool people, who can I connect with? And I think it's just every few weeks posting that. Connect with each other. Find people you have something in common with. You're in the driver's seat. Go and find people. But
so
do you think
we could
go ahead?
We could add that to the introduction, and also that may be important enough for Carrie to include that on the welcome message. Although I do think, to Carrie's earlier discussions, maybe it was last week, I think there's a lot of people that are just kind of, this is a periphery interest. So we're going to get a lot of people coming in that aren't going to interact. And I think that that's okay. I wish there was a way in Facebook that you could follow a group without saying you're a member, but apparently that's not a feature. So.
Well, as I said, there's a lot of people come in and said, no, they're looking for projects to get involved with. But I think because, I don't know, because there doesn't seem to be, like, because we're not all posting about our projects all the time. I know you've got the Thursday thing. I don't know whether it's obvious. So I suppose once the directory gets set up, I think that'll be a lot better for people to actually see and go through and stuff like that. But as I said, there's a lot of people coming in who actually want to sort of like look for projects to get involved with. And it's a bit difficult because I don't know what else they're interested in. It's a bit difficult to try and connect them with each other. But as I said, you know, like, I'm kind of giving up sending messages because, like, I don't get no response. so I just kind of I thought, well, right, okay, I'll spend my time on the people that I have chatted with so far. And so, like, if I find stuff, I'll post it for them. And but yeah, as far as so I don't know what else to do really to encourage conversation or things, or they may think, oh, I don't want to post that because it might not be so, like, you know what I mean. So it's a bit of a fine line, you know, because what you don't want is people posting things that aren't kind of relevant to any of the projects, because you can do that in the Game B main space, you know what I mean, if they're having chats and conversations and discussions. But to try
I am more talking about the main space. The main space where there's people coming in and they're looking for where to go. And then they join the side groups, and there's way too many side groups, some of which are basically dead. And so there's only a handful of them that have anything really going on. Anyway, it's a Game B thing that I should probably just need to bring up with the admins and be like, I want people to find what I found. And it's like, they can't just, here they can, right? Here, come to a round table, no problem, jump in. But most of it isn't necessarily like that. It's like, right, people have already found their partners and their people to work with. And so we're not as open to conversation as we used to be, right? Like unless you want to come to Eric's thing on Tuesday, he can't fit you in otherwise. And, you know, my time also, same thing. It's like, okay, I can't, even if I want to meet with all of these people, and more of us are getting filled up. So that makes it like, that's kind of where Jordan Hall was, like, in September when I started, that he was willing to meet with people, and that was great. And now I don't know if he would be, because his time is filled up. And that's like what's happening to Nick, Eric, Bentley, you know what I mean? Me, like, it's like your time starts to fill up and you don't have any more capacity either. Like, and that is very Game B, Game A. Like, there's something in there of, right, the next cohort has to come in and interconnect with each other, and they're still going to connect with the one before and the one before that and the one before that. But there's something about it, like, yes, if something's not getting done, you do it. You connect with each other. And yet when there's 2,000 people, like, there's a different feeling to there being 200 versus 2,000, where with 200, you're like, right, what are we baking? And 2,000, you're like, you haven't made it yet? I don't understand. How did you not make it yet? It's like, right, because...
So, and also, Carrie, I think the project list, the directory, is sufficient enough that if someone's asking, I think it'd be good to post that as a response to their comment or to their post. I don't know how many, what do we have, like 5 projects in there now, but it's a start.
Yeah. Well, as I said, because you posted things on Thursday, I was hoping more people would actually chip in and actually post more about what they're up to and that. But as I said, it's just getting the initial conversations going seems to be taking a bit more time than I thought it would, with new people joining. And as I said, it's just, as I said, some of them don't introduce themselves and some of them do. So I've got to kind of wait for them to introduce themselves to find out more about, like, because people have been there and I didn't even know they were there. and who's like maybe commented, and that's how I see them now. So I kind of pounce on them after that and try and see if I can fix up a chat. But I think, I don't know, people don't seem to want to voice chat or video chat. So I don't know whether that's just a thing that I'm gonna have to get used to, because like I'm all up for chats, you know what I mean? So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's different. That's part of what I'm dealing with solution raising, is like how to make it for everyone. It's not going to be for everyone. It just isn't. It's going to be for people who want to have video chat, and I can make it so that you either do or don't record it, but you know what I mean? Like if it's like, well, these people are having it on video and these people are having it by text and these people are having it by conversation, until that naturally emerges. Yeah. Does anyone want to have anything for the hot seat, or should I do solution raising?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
All right. So solution raising, I'm still in the process of writing up 3 different articles, one of which is how it currently looks, which is just me doing Wednesday morning solution raisings. People come or they don't. They've now switched on to Zoom, so I can accommodate up to 100 people at that session. So we can switch into smaller groups and have them. But what I really want is other people hosting solution raising. I want there to be a way that we together can vote on what the topic is for that week, so that if you want to, there's a common topic between all the solution raisings. I would love there to be people, like 2 different paths, one of which is people who, like myself, want to host 100 people solution raisings, like up to 100 people. And so they just pick a time slot and they can use my Zoom account and be a mega host and do that. Or if that doesn't work for you, finding on your own or facilitated through solution raising, finding a group of people to meet with weekly or monthly, so that you're getting more of a real connection over time, right? So one that's like a drop-in, get randomly assigned to whoever it is. And then as you find people, or as you have people in your own life, you can start to have a weekly one and then people can record or not record them. If you come up with something powerful, then you can submit it to something like Reddit and get upvoted. And when we get the top 3, we can then have like an official vote with just the members, which there aren't any yet, but like just the members, just the people who have in fact said, yes, we have our own group, or we come to the meta, we host the meta ones, we come to the meta ones. Sorry, mega, not meta. I don't know what to call them. Yeah, and I don't even know what I'm exactly looking for, except that I'm trying to figure out how to do that within my capacity. How to get other people on board without, like, they're not magically showing up at my door and asking to do it. And I'd really like help with that.
Okay, so are you having enough participants now that you can't handle the volume, or are you looking for, or which is more important, I guess, because I think you mentioned both, or are you looking for other people to generate new opportunities?
Well, no, there isn't too much. I've switched over to Zoom for the odd time there was a 5th, 6th, 7th person wanting to participate. It's easier to be able to just, oh yeah, cool, people showed up, let's switch it. And there's one URL people have to follow week after week. But this was the first week doing that, and it was only Daniel, Carrie, and I, so it was actually less than normal. Eric told me he wasn't showing up though. And I think that's fine. I think that will build and grow as people show up and they can be put into groups. I don't know quite how to facilitate that in the moment. For any session I'm part of is going to be recorded, but there can be the parallel one that's not recorded. But anyway, that's a side note. I'm missing the question, aren't I?
I guess, yeah. Which of those? What's the biggest problem that you would like solved? Because you mentioned quite a few things. I just like to narrow it down.
Well, the solution raising itself is powerful. Every one of them has come up with a powerful solution that, if implemented, could move us powerfully forward. There's something about the fact that there's only 4 of us having that conversation that isn't as powerful as if dozens of people were having the same conversation, and then we could see what's emerging from all of them and see like the hope that would give. And so I want to give individuals the opportunity to participate if they want to. And Wednesdays at 9 a.m. that I'm available isn't necessarily when everyone else is available. So I want to be able to offer, right, if this time slot doesn't work for you, it's actually really easy to have one your own. I even have a Zoom account, come use it, right? That like, let's pick topics together, let's host them, pick a time that works for you in the international time zones, and then And so I know I'm not answering the question, Bentley, but all of it.
That's good.
That's pretty, like, I want to be able to start multiple, so that for people that the time doesn't work, I want them to have another time that I don't necessarily have to facilitate. And for people who coming to a mega one doesn't work, I want to give them the option of like, hey, if you have 3 friends, be like a book club, like get together every week, host a solution raising, so that you can have the experience of seeing there's actual possibility out there that you can do with 10,000 people and $100,000.
So it sounds like the first step, though, is getting more people involved and then handling the logistics of that. Does that sound true? I know you want all of it, but
Yeah. I mean, if there's more people, you're right. Having more people come to Wednesday so we can break off into groups, and then from that there could be natural mega hosts and people who emerge from that. So yes, growing the Wednesday session so I don't have to constantly is actually the priority.
I saw you unmuting, Adriel. I wasn't sure if you had something else.
Yeah, I was going to agree. One of the things with these solution raisings is, I'm not sure if this has been happening, I just haven't seen it, but I know in the ones that I've taken part in, they were quite interesting. But in the group, I never have really seen like a summary that made it appealing and sort of explained like, hey, here's what was decided on, here's the cool stuff coming out of it, to sort of bait the hook, to make it a bit more like you don't have to go and watch the full thing to get the appeal, because if you aren't going to, like, there's nothing pulling you to go watch it unless you've seen previous ones. So it's, I guess there's no starting point in my mind, as opposed to if there were a post where you were like, hey, here's, I don't know, like I think the idea in Reddit of like having people vote on the ideas and having some form of like actually listing the ideas and voting on them, or just, to start with, having somebody who was participating in it, or like you or someone creating a separate post for, hey, we just had this great solution raising. The link will be at the end of that post, but then you might summarize like, here's what we talked about, here's the top 3 ideas, to help sort of, that's the kind of post that I imagine you would end up with almost another solution raising in the comments. Like, hey, this is all great, by the way, we're doing one next week on this.
Right. Well, I know I'd started trying to summarize the board meetings, so maybe if I got sidetracked. So maybe if I do the solution raising ones and just put do you want me to put a wee comment under each of the solution raisings, or would you rather I did a main comment and say, look, if you've missed the previous solution raisings, here they are, would you want me to do them one at a time and then put a summary underneath them, or do you want me to? Because like what I noticed, Jubilee, is that you post that there's a solution raising, but sometimes you don't post the video in the group to say this is what's done. You know what I mean? So if someone come into the group, they'll just see the invite for it, but they don't see what actually, you know what I mean?
Yes.
This is what
Yeah.
So do you want me to start putting the videos one by one on each?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah.
Right. Okay, I'll do that then.
And definitely a summary of what we came up with. I tried with the first 6 to go through and decide what we had come up with. And I because I can't even, the 3 articles I'm trying to write is enough for my brain. Like, summarizing it is not my strong suit. So,
right.
My suggestion, Carrie, would be to first write those out in a Google Doc or some sort of shared document, because then you can cut and paste the content wherever you want, and that way it's a place that we can get to reuse the content.
Right. I'll need to go watch them all again because I've forgotten. As I was going through them, so that's okay. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of everything. You know what I mean?
And I would start with the most recent and work backwards.
Right. Okay. I'll do that. Yeah.
Or just start with the next one, maybe. I don't know.
for which are we talking? Solution raising or our together?
Solution raising. So what I'll do is the one you've just done, I'll do that first, Jubilee, and I'll post the video. This is what we've had in the you know what I mean, and then I'll work my way backwards, and I'll say, look, what I'll do is I'll put a link to the playlist, and then we've had all of them under each one, and then obviously they can go and have a look, or I might just do one for the playlist and then do summaries for each of them. Can you upload files in
Google
the
Docs.
solution raising things in the group for solution raising? Can you upload files in that?
I think so. Yeah.
Right. Okay, I'll check
I think I've
that.
made you an admin in solution raising. I should make you an admin in solution raising.
Well, do you want to do that then, and then I can sort of like post things, and because I often find that if you start posting information about what you're talking about underneath, then okay, sometimes the link doesn't work, like the slavery one where we went to the site, it didn't work. But other things that maybe come out of that, or things that I found afterwards that are related to that, and then that would kind of bump up what it was. But what I'll do is I'll post the videos and then put a summary of all the ones that we've had, and then put links to maybe follow up stuff that people might want to look at, and see if they're interested in maybe turning stuff into a project that what could be done now or something like that. Do you think that would help?
I mean, possibly. I'm definitely not focused. Like, if anyone wants to take any of them and run with them, I'm good. But there's a reason I'm not, is that it doesn't make sense for 4 people to do it. The whole point is to like figure out how to do this in a nearly risk-free together way, so that each one isn't its own individual project that's going to go and fail and go and fail and go and fail. And 1% of them will succeed. It's like, once we get that system in place, 90% of them will succeed, because we have a process to actually go through to say, right, it's not just these 4 coming up with an idea. There's hundreds of people having conversations, and we've picked the best one, and we know it's the best one because we kind of all came to it, or this amazing one that no one thought of that, actually, now that we've heard that, that's the one. And that's my hypothesis of what happens, is not necessarily what
Because I know previous I tried to put up a list to try and see if there's anybody in the group on topics, see if anyone was in the group, but you know, I never got much response. So I don't know whether you want to make us an admin, and I'll kind of do what I can. But as I said, it's just trying to get people to actually talk. You know what I mean? Because I think people just join groups and then they forget, then they go off and do something else, and then they're like, oh.
Which also, for solution raising, there's only like 50 people, so it gets lost in their feed and they don't see it. My love, that's really loud.
If we get a good sort of like summary of recent topics, or like a highlight reel for solution raising, it might also be good to start doing some of that cross-posting, unless it's already happening and I'm not seeing it, more cross-posting in the main Game B group, where it's not meant to be like every solution raising gets 18 posts, but if it's meant to be hey, we're doing this cool thing, here's some of the awesome things that have come out of it. Hey, 2,000 people in this group, if you're interested, come on over and join it. And then same thing with the projects and everything, to start trying to use the Game B group more actively to like pull people to the other groups, because they might just not know that they exist. They may have just joined the Game B group because they saw it, on River Wisdom, and then they aren't seeing much in the main group. But if they start seeing more and more content about all this other stuff, so like just kind of have it be a highlight reel. And then I know in a previous meeting we had talked about the Game B subreddit. I'm not sure if we've done any work to like try to push people there as well, because that could also be a really good sort of cross-channel posting, because it's got its own ability to sort of have people, up vote and down vote what they think is interesting. If you have your highlights there, then the community can decide like, oh, that is a good highlight. That sounds cool. And then, if 10 people do it, all of a sudden now way more people in that subreddit are seeing it.
Okay, so I think I probably need to get a list of links where everything is, and then work on, because like what I find is that, if you start posting the same stuff in each different place, people who are in the same place just go, oh, you know what I mean? So you've got to try and make it different for each, not that much difference, but when you're posting stuff, if you start posting the same content everywhere, then you're just broadcasting the same stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and I don't want to be putting people off before they've even got going. You know what I mean? Because as I said, because I know what I'm like when I see stuff that's posted all over the shop and it's the same thing. I'm just like, I'm not even going to bother. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
and I think technically it would be somewhat different, because if you're, posting a summary of the solution raisings in the solution raising channel, it's somebody who's already indicated their interest. So you can probably go, a couple levels deeper in like each post might just say, hey, here's the highlight of this particular solution raising. Here's some cool stuff. in the Game B group, I mean like really top of the waves, like, hey, here's 3 cool ideas and 3 very different topics that came out of a solution raising.
Okay, right. Okay, so I think what we need is a social media plan then, and maybe schedule
Probably, yeah.
that, and then create that. So if we could maybe whenever get a meeting about creating a social media schedule and that, and what's what. But yeah, I'll just I'll go through the solution raisins and I'll put summaries in and stuff as well. So yeah, okay.
I think also, and finding someone who is willing to do the highlight reel, like actually just looking through them and editing and being like, this 30-second clip would be awesome. And if that's not in someone's wheelhouse, even just having people tag what they think is awesome, right? To be like, oh, I really like this, I really like that is also helpful. And I really don't like asking people to do things, but I also like that people are looking for projects. There are people with that skill in Game B. And it's something that would take me all day. It would take somebody else, I mean, besides the hour of sitting through it, 5 minutes, right?
Right.
Like to do.
So see in YouTube, right. Can you right? I've got access to your accounts and stuff, and I've also got Premiere Pro, which I could do some video editing if you wanted me to. So maybe if I just get the solutions at the end bit rather than the first bit, or do you want the first? Would you rather have the three bits of each, or would you rather this is the kind of solutions? Do you just want the solution end bit?
I think it's whatever speaks to the person editing, right? So like whatever. Generally, it's going to be the third part. It's going to be the part where we're actually generating ideas and the pieces of that are powerful and amazing. But at some point, I'm sure it'll be like focusing on solution raising itself. Here are the 3 parts we go through and why we go through them, showing someone venting and being like, oh, and then seeing the beautiful future and then seeing the thing that we come up with at the end. But for now, it's just, the solutions that are generated that are powerful.
Right, okay. So I'll tell you what, right, you write what you're doing and then 3 blogs, and then I'll take that and then I'll do the highlight reel from what you've written, because then that'll help me. But for now, I'll just kind of, if you make me an admin in the group, and also how do you download because I've never downloaded anything from any videos from YouTube. Is that an easy thing to do, or?
I think so.
So, depending on the settings.
Stop. Sorry.
Of the YouTube channel. Depending on the settings on the YouTube channel, you can there's a download button. Like, I can't remember. It might be hidden underneath something, but on that page, I think, so you can just download it. The other option is Jubilee can give you access to her channel, and then there's an editor built in to YouTube for making clips. So that's pretty easy to use, and I think it would be a little quicker than downloading and re-uploading.
Yeah, it's just that I'm a bit wary about, when you're editing something, that you make a total arse of it and ruin it.
Oh, you can't edit the original. You can't change the original video because YouTube doesn't allow that. So there's no chance of you overwriting it. Because YouTube, once you post something, you're not allowed to make changes to the video itself. And then I wanted to kind of talk a bit about getting more participants, because I kind of think about when you want to do that, you want to have like a link of somewhere that people can send other people and do invites. And also if you ever wanted to do paid advertising, you'd use that. And make sure that when they go there, it has a very clear call to action, description and call to action. Now the Solution Raising's homepage might have that, or might be that location. And then an easy way for people to subscribe to know what's going on. So maybe facebook.com/group/solution raising is all of that. But it might be interesting to kind of look at it and say, does this really accomplish that? If people come here, is it clear why they would join the group? And then I don't know if we're losing people because there are some people that aren't on Facebook and it'd be better. But, creating a website and having a newsletter that you sign up, but then you'd have to post the announcements on the newsletter as long as Facebook. So it's a lot of it's a lot of manual work, which we're about to overload Carrie on all the admin work we're giving her. So, but those are just my thought. That's the thought process I do when we say we want kind of more people. That greases the butts.
Yeah. One extra note on that kind of combines with the previous topic is if we're trying to find cool clips and we're trying to get people interested, it might be cool to actually almost have like a contest of like, hey, if you're going through previous solution raisings, don't just go watch them. Your goal is to find like your snippet that really stands out to you. And then if we, eventually have something like a Reddit, you can have a single post saying, hey, we're looking for the best, 10 to 30 second clip in this solution raising. People can post sort of, their comments of, oh, from this timestamp to this timestamp. And then the initial link can actually take you right to that YouTube video starting at that timestamp and then tell you when to sort of stop and say, that's the part.
Right.
And then people can upvote and downvote and say like, oh, I really like that one. And then that gives them also sort of an excuse to get some Reddit points, which, that's what half of that community is about. But then also it helps, like it gives people a reason. It's a direct call to action that they can actually do, as opposed to, hey, go watch this library of, 30-hour-long videos.
So I think a social media and posting plan and schedule and plan and all sorts of plans. Okay. So right. So Jubilee, if you make us admin of that group, then, and I'll try and see if I can work me Kerry magic.
And
Sounds
Jubilee,
awesome.
I don't know if we also kind of mentioned, you may have stepped away, that making her, inviting her to be an admin of the YouTube channel if she's not already. So she can.
She is of Jubilee Create Something Amazing.
Okay. Which,
by the way, FYI, I didn't update. I changed the name of my YouTube channel to be more.
I know. I see that. I wanted to change
one
it.
person on it.
Oh, she's changed it to something else, but I'm not. I don't know whether you want to make me the same on Together Tech as well, so I can, as I said, I couldn't move things. I noticed that you hadn't got the things into playlists.
Yeah. And that's so what I'm not. Although can I add her to Together Tech? Because I don't it's Adriel's channel, so that's
probably the admin. So you can try if you've already.
All right, I can try, and if not,
then if not, I can do it.
Okay, it's just so I can.
Don't mess up our 30 subscribers.
You'll come back and there'll just be one. It'll be me going, yeah. No, because I just noticed there's a lot of stuff that isn't in playlists, and obviously if you wanting to show people, you want it as updated as possible and have everything in there. Otherwise, because then that'll lead to other stuff that you want them watching. You know what I mean? So so I think I need to develop a social media strategy for what's out there. I think I've got some docs on that, on how best to put one together. So I'll I'll do that and other things as well. Okay.
Sounds good. Yeah, the other thing would, because why not? Why not start new fires? So when wanting people to start their own solution raising group, because there's what I'm doing, which is picking a new topic every week, because I don't want to talk about the same topic week in and week out. I'm part of the conversation, and you know what I mean? If there were hundreds of people having a conversation on food, I would have the conversation on food again. But right now, anyway, as people come in and they're starting their own groups, having the same 6 topics that they talk about, so that they're talking about food, and then they're talking about shelter, or they're talking about the government, they're talking about picking a few different very broad topics, some that are more focused on your own individual life and some that are giant like prisons, having those be so that as people are starting their hosting their own solution raising, coming up with their best idea on food, their best idea on prisons, their best idea on the ones we've already done. And as per usual, I need to probably pick one. Either we're doing a different topic every week, and therefore that's what we're voting on, or hey, here are the same 10 topics. We're going to keep talking about these again and again until more people are joining and more people are.
I was just thinking it's possible to control the YouTube player. So maybe a little side project I can do is to create a YouTube clip playlist tool. So it'd be a website you can go and create a playlist of just clips rather than YouTube only lets you do the whole videos in a playlist. And you could do start and stop times if you're using JavaScript.
If you are doing that, I'm very interested because that
that's
could
right.
very easily overlap with the snippets in
I forgot. That's probably where I got the idea, is from WikiLection. So yeah, so maybe now that we have two needs for that, it'd be worth time taking a weekend project and whipping something up and make sure it plugs into what Martush is doing on the WikiLection. And I've always kind of wanted to do that. But it could be community curated, so people.
Right.
Do you want to do that for the board meetings and the roundtables as well? Then would we use clips?
It sounds like it would just be a tool that you could use for any of it.
Right. Okay.
All it is you're sort of saying, here's the YouTube video, here's the start time and end time, and then it just plays that. And so you could use that on a news site, you could use that here, you could use that on WikiLection, you could probably use it on Reason Score.
Yeah,
Right.
and I also had thought about doing a aggregate training site where you'd put together classes with clips from other websites. So YouTube would be a start of that, and then it also lists the blog post and tell you the specific section. Anyways, so
There's lots of use for that. I mean, if it's a plugin you can use for anything, and it's just, hey, URL for a video, wherever the video is, start time, that's huge if it can be plugged into everything else. Because, then you can use it for education, you can use it for...
the way you said that, actually, I figured out a way to do it at extremely low cost. Because if it's in the URL, the start and end time in the YouTube video, I could have a page pop up and auto-generate it. Okay. Huh. Now I gotta do this weather app, and then I gotta do the YouTube clip app.
Yeah, I meant to ask, because you were like, oh, we're doing the weather thing for what is it that changes throughout the day? Is it like air quality, sunlight? Like, what is it you're doing it for?
It is all of that. So and I looked online, and no one else seems to do this, but it would take into account the humidity, the temperature, sunlight, cloudiness, maybe air quality if I can get that data. I'm not sure if I can, and wind, because my mom is trying to find time to walk, and she's trying to do evenings because it's windier, but I'm trying to tell her it's really hot in Texas at 6 p.m. That's literally the hottest part of the day, but for some reason she doesn't think so. But anyways, it would take the hours of the day and rank them from top to bottom of what's most comfortable based on the temperature. It would have a default, but you would then be able to adjust the algorithm to say, oh, I don't care if it's raining, I'll walk or run in the rain. So it's just a little bitty app that and it only worked for the United States, because unless someone can help me find the weather service data for the other countries. So it hits the NOAA website, pulls down the XML, and we'll do the calculations and rank each hour in the day, and then sort them by that hour, by that ranking.
That could be something our father could use for if it included air quality as well. Pollen count.
If you want to try it in Canada, you can check out weather.gc.ca. That's a fairly decent weather kind of service provided by the government of Canada. And I'm looking at now for one city, and there's actually a more detailed view somewhere. Oh yeah, if you scroll down, it goes into.
Say that again. Weather.what?
Weather.gc for government of Canada.
GC.
Yeah. So weather.gc.ca, and then here as an example in the private chat, I'll put in. That's a link to Calgary, and then you can do a search for it and stuff. But that's it's fairly consistent, and it's all these cities. So I mean, the US probably makes more sense because there's a lot more demand for it because there's more than 10 times the number of people. If you're also looking for an alternate data source.
Well, yeah, mostly because that's my mom's here. So.
Right, yeah, that too.
I don't care about you people. No, yeah.
It's also like having one place, because it's like everyone has weather, and it's basically the same.
What?
Like, meaning, even though it's in Fahrenheit and Celsius, it like having one, like even if all the governments are doing it, having one place where they then filter through so that it then creates it into because I'm like, use Google's information. It's just easier, but then it's Google's. Like, it's like using it from that point so that it is international. Like, we don't need to solve that, but
yeah,
if you could just solve that, Bentley.
Yeah,
it's create the thing that's all the data.
No,
Just
I'll have
remake
to check.
Google. What's
I would-
taking so long?
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, right.
Jubilee, can I ask you not to start any more fires till next week?
Now, if you tell my brain
No
that, it's just going to do. It's like, no.
Well, okay. No fires tomorrow.
It's like asking the sun not to shine.
I know. No fires tomorrow. Monday, from Monday onwards, yeah. But not
Monday, no fires. I usually don't start fires on the weekends.
All right, well,
Normally
that's
don't.
fine then. You know what I mean? Just
They seem to start on Wednesday for some reason. It's like
If
my
you get
busiest
charged
day.
with arson, this is going to be a very interesting, out of context.
I've just got this cartoon of a setting light to everything.
Yeah, it's funny because the Jubilee X-Men light sparks, and I always thought that was like the stupidest thing ever. Like, I'm like, that's the worst. I'm like, that's me actually. And it's like, and it's just that. It's like a spark. It's not even like a full-blown fire. Otherwise, I would have saved the world already. It's like, here's one. Here's a new one. Here's a new one. Who would have thought?
Bentley, as you start working on like that snippet project, I'm definitely interested in, because it sounds like all the parts of it with like the different video sources, the being able to do it to articles and possibly studies, like that's
Yeah.
a big part of.
Okay. Well, yeah. Yeah. Sounds like fun.
Legends.
If I get these other little projects out of the way, I might schedule a meeting with you, and we can just make sure that I'm aware of your requirement set, so whatever I build can be reused.
Right.
I think I have it, but it'd be good to chat over again just to make sure.
Sure.
Before I set fingers to keyboard.
So, all right, we're near the hour mark. This was a good hour. I have things to do, except I don't want to work on fires that have already started. I want to start new ones, multiple ones. That's not true. I really like solution raising. There's something about it that is holding me to it. And thank God for Carrie. Thank God for Carrie and her admin skills, because my goodness. All right. So I'll make you admin, Carrie. I'm going to work on those articles that I've been working on for weeks now and yet haven't actually typed out. They're on my whiteboard in an outlined format. And I will figure out this week. We'll figure out how to create more people into the Wednesday session before I try to open up all the other time slots and all the other things. And then when there's more people there, it'll be a natural progression, people that keep showing up and want to be part of the meta hosts and whatnot. So
yeah, because it's just the engagement. You just really need more engagement. Like there's people there, but there's no engagement. So we need to find a way of engaging the people that are there. And then obviously if there's somebody new who might want to come, then getting them in and keeping them engaged as well. I think that's the main thing, because I've been focusing on the project group, trying to get the engagement there going, which is slowly coming, but not, you know what I mean? Because obviously if I'm not posting a couple of things, and there's nothing getting posted, people think there's not happening. So if you try and and that's why I've been tagging useful stuff for people who I've chatted to, because it's good for me when I chat to them and then I find out what they're up to, and then I can get them more stuff and that. So I think more engagement, and I think maybe talking to the people getting to know the people in the solution raising group and finding out their time.
Current people in the solution raising. It's basically who shows up to the solution raising itself. But that's the other, what I might do that is not quite starting a new fire, but holding this, is starting a second time slot. Like we talked about, that works for the Australian people and works for me mostly, but getting someone else who's willing to be that meta host for that time slot for when I'm not able to function at a later time slot in the day. And then if there's two time slots, one, we are doing the same topic. So then how do we decide on that topic? Me right now until we have a way of doodle poll and there's enough people showing up that they want to vote on it. What's the next one? Or offering it in solution raising. But yeah, I like the idea of starting a second one for solution raising, so that even if it's only one topic a week, and even if there's only two or three people who show up in each of the sessions, we're having at least 2 a week, so that there's 2 different ones that people are attending, and then see, do they come up with the same solution? Do they come up with different
Right,
solutions?
because I know you're talking to Yvette on Thursday. Do you want to mention to her whether she'd be interested in? Because I think it'd be interesting in doing them with Yvette as well. So if you want to mention to Yvette that you're interested in doing them, and ask her, would she be interested in doing them with you? Because I think it would be good for her as well. You know what I mean? So I think that'd be good. So if you ask her if she'd be interested in doing them, and I think that might
I think
help.
she is more available later in the day, which is perfect.
Yeah. Well, I know she said she was part of this group and she's not going anymore, so that's freed her up some time and that, you know what I mean? But as I said, if you just check with her, because I think it might be good for her to get into the swing of things as well, you know what I mean? And then she gets to meet other people with other ideas and that, because she's not in Game B. I don't know whether she wants to join Game B or not, but I'd rather just, if she just wants to do what she wants to do, basically. But as I said, if you'd ask her, and then, because I think that would be good. And I'd like to get a 3-way conversation with the idea Pyromaniac, the spider, and the octopus, if that's okay.
Yep. we need a graphic for those 3. I was going to call it the coven. Anyway, yes, we will. So we can say goodbye to YouTube and Facebook. We'll see you next week for the Together Tech board meeting and the roundtable on Saturday. Bye.